Hi, very good morning to you. It's Jim from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, in this video we're going to present ultimate evidence that proves global warming is not caused by CO2. As you can see, we've marked 125,000 years on the chart, and we're going to ask the question, does CO2 drive temperature? If that's the case, then global warming must be taking place right now, mustn't it? Okay, so 125,000 years ago, we can see that CO2 increased less than 100 parts per million. If CO2 drives up global temperature, then by how much does it do it by? Well, if we go back 125,000 years and we have a look at how much temperature has increased in that period, at the time when CO2 increased less than 100 parts per million, we can see that temperature only increased by less than 3 degrees Celsius. So if we just go to zero on this chart, we can see that it's measuring 375 parts per million. Now, as you guys know, we are at 420 parts per million, give or take a few, but at the chart that we've got in front of us, we can see is at least at 375 parts per million, but the temperature is around 1 degree Celsius during this period of time where CO2 has increased. This proves that CO2 does not drive up the temperature, and therefore what is being talked about at COP26 is nothing but a scam. And you know, if you're going to victimise CO2 and have that as your bogeyman in the room, then you better come up with some better explanations as to why temperature is not clearly being shown as driving up whilst the CO2 is at 3 times the amount it was 125,000 years ago. This proves that CO2 does not drive the climate up, because if it did, at zero on this chart, temperature should be at a lot more than what it is, and it's less. You should make this video viral. You know, this should be the ultimate evidence needed to disprove what is going on right now with the world leaders, the world manufacturers, and you know, the fact that they want to raise £100 trillion, which is going to have a dent in all of our pockets. You know, this video should be made viral so that everyone can clearly see, plain as daylight, that CO2 does not affect the climate. Guys, I want to thank those few that have been supporting us. You know, we've took a big hit here at the observatory recently from Google and YouTube, you know, victimising us in taking away, you know, that advert revenue, which does, you know, make a little bit of difference here at the observatory, especially with what we've had to face over the last 19 months with that pandemic. You know, we've ended up with a deficit of £10,000. You know, we're asking, you know, the people that come over to the website and that, you know, view the content on YouTube to help support us in trying to bring down that deficit. It's quite a big deficit, and you can see by, you know, charts like what we've created for you today just how important, you know, the work here that we do at the observatory is. And you know, if you're interested in what we normally talk about, the magnetic pole shift, we've had some recent data from one of our superstars in Tucson, Arizona, sent over, and it's now up on the website live for you to go and see on poleshiftnews.com, so please go over to that. But you know, hopefully now you get the picture. CO2 is not responsible for global warming, and what they're doing is, in my view, very illegal, and they're getting away with it, and they probably will raise that 100 trillion that they want, but what they intend to do with that is beyond me, because you can't reduce 100 parts per million within the next 200 years, because as you can see, it takes, the last time CO2 increased, around 100,000 years for it to drop 100 parts per million. Are you prepared now, after you know the truth, to support anything of the sorts? what they're trying to do at COP26 right now. It just shows you how, non-scientific their findings are. But nevertheless, the debate is closed. And now we know what we're dealing with. Nothing but dictators, in short. And you have seen how much freedoms we have by what they did on this channel this week, when they infringed on my human rights. And not just that, they also victimised us by taking away that small amount of revenue. And they should really be held accountable for it, but they're going to get away with it. So not only, do they lie to us and dictate to us, but they also victimise us. And it's not just me that this has happened to. This has happened to thousands of people, and lots of other scientists have lost income, pensions as a result of trying to bring the truth to the general public and population of this world. So, all I ask is, for a bit of support back. There's a link down there, and you can help support us by making a small contribution to the work we do. I hope you found this video really informative. I hope you want to show people now who, buy these electric cars because they're worried about the environment, disintegrating on us in the next 20 years because of a little bit of temperature rise. As you can see, the temperature during this period of time wasn't as high as what it was 125,000 years ago. Well, and I will add this, we could do the same for 250,000 year rise when we had the interglacial period, 325,000 years ago when we had an interglacial period, and 400,000 years ago when we had an interglacial period. My point is this, is that CO2 does not drive temperature, and we've proved it quite clearly here. This is the ultimate evidence. No one can argue about what you're looking at here as not disproving what they've done. Guys, links are down there in the description. I've got something special for you tomorrow coming up. Really looking forward to showing you this, and I'll see you then. As always, bye for now.